After binge watching the first season of Alien Earth, I gotta say I didn't expect the show to take the direction it did. The plot was definitely something, but I wager that most people, including me, were more interested in the grotesque body horror of the creatures the show introduced. So I figured I'd share a random thought I had when I was idly contemplating what season 2 would look like. But first, please like and subscribe to my money-hungry self, so I can keep spouting random junk and opinions on YouTube. Now then, the main idea that led to me making this video was, how would the 5 new species who happen to find themselves sharing the same beach resort interact once they start bumping into each other? To find out if these abominations will play nice or not, we first need to take a brief look at their biology and behaviors to see what exactly is going on in the making of those nightmares. Also, I was thinking about making a Little Nightmares video, so one of my 2 subscribers, let me know what you think about that in the comments. Now then. The classic xenomorph, known and feared by everyone in the Aliens fandom. The origins of this species are speculative, but recent media suggests that they're a result of the black goo, which is a mutagenic compound bioweapon created by the engineers, and experimentation by that creepy android fuck David. This is the lore we're going to be sticking with, although older media suggests that xenomorphs evolved naturally on Xenomorph Prime. Regardless of the origins, Xenomorph's signature traits are its acidic blood, hive mind structure, and of course its parasitic life cycle. Seen for the first time in this show, each xenomorph starts its life as a little tadpole-like thingy. These thingies are housed inside a facehugger, which are in turn housed inside an egg laid by a xenomorph queen. The egg hatches once it senses a suitable host, and once the unconsensual prom date does its business, it will inject the xenomorph tadpole and promptly detach and expire somewhere in the corner. I am pretty sure everyone knows what happens next. It's a girl, and the new xenomorph slithers off to shed and become a blight on the universe. The behavior and physical attributes of a xenomorph can vary based on the host they were born out of, but for this video the important bits are that they listen to their queen, and if another creature can't be used as a host or isn't a threat to the hive, then they pretty much don't exist. The second and honestly most basic creature is the blood tick. These little suckers are pretty much real ticks on steroids, latching onto a host and draining them of all of their blood, which honestly seems a bit wasteful since it's better to have many small meals as opposed to one large one that also removes the host from the menu in my opinion. But parasite economics aside, once attached these buggers are virtually impossible to remove. Since they can secrete a poisonous gas that kills in seconds, they also seem to have a bit of an aquatic life stage as birth is given to another bunch of tadpole thingies that once ingested by some dumbass who didn't notice that his water was literally full of these things turned him into an inside-out buffet. Definitely a creepy crawly that should be introduced to the bottom of a boot. Moving on. The Ocellus is a tricky little bugger, boasting very high intelligence and the ability to turn you into a puppet through your own eyes. This eldritch horror can even make use of creatures long past expired, able to control things as small as a cat, but having an eye, got him funny, for the most suitable host means that it's liable to ditch its current one if a better host can be found. This opportunistic mentality also means that this boil will scurry away if it realizes that things aren't going its way. As I'm sure you can imagine, when things do go its way, the results aren't pretty. The Ocellus will not so gently relieve you of one of your current peepers and handily take its place. And once it's in, all that was you is out, and you're now a puppet muppet. Hope you enjoy it, because you won't have a choice in the matter unless you again use the tried and true defense of stepping on it. We haven't seen the reproductive cycle yet, but given the show's current track record, I'm sure it's terrible. Again, the main danger of the Ocellus is its intelligence. This creature will outsmart you given the chance, and I promise you, whenever you're watching it, it's watching you. The fly is the only creature this show has introduced that maybe won't kill you or parasitize you. Keep in mind I said maybe. The main reason for this small mercy is the creature's diet. The fly eats mainly inorganic materials, which in theory puts you off the menu. It also makes it the only creature that has androids on the menu, which one discovered after being tricked into locking himself in the containment room by the Ocellus. Okay, maybe tricked isn't the right word, but the Ocellus definitely got him killed. Something to keep in mind is that just because the fly won't eat you doesn't mean it can't kill you. Its acid spit was strong enough to melt through metal in seconds, so I reckon it could do a whole lot worse to you. Fortunately, this diet probably means this creature's reproduction doesn't involve doing something gruesome to you, but we don't truly know yet, so nothing is guaranteed. Keep a can of Raid close, boys, because even if the fly isn't going to eat you, it probably sees your metal firearm as a nice appetizer. The Venus flytrap took a turn for the worst after someone fed it creatine mixed with heroin. In all seriousness, the plumbercare plant acts like a plant for most of the show, that is sitting there doing nothing. However, once approached, the plant extends a fleshy appendage to suss out if you're edible, and if the plant decides to take a more direct approach, it just turns into a spider, crawling on the walls and roof at quick speeds to locate prey. And should it decide that you are prey, it's gonna snatch you up and do some less than desirable things to you. Definitely bring a flamethrower because this thing is the embodiment of Welcome to the Jungle, and trust me, there are no fun in games, only plants that want to turn you into a human sandwich. With the very brief rundowns on the abominations present in this show out of the way, let's get into the main reason I wanted to make this video. What happens at the meet and greet? Again, starting with the xenomorph, under more natural circumstances, by which I mean one under the influence of a hive and not a mentally 12 silica terminator, I think at least 3 of the 4 creatures would be completely ignored, those being the ticks, ocellus, and flies, mainly because they don't pose any threats and they're not big enough to be used as a host. The Plumicare, on the other hand, is an interesting case. Its interactions are pretty much entirely based on if it can eat you. Now, obviously it's a plant, so it can't be face-hugged, but the Plumicare may actually try to eat a xenomorph, as it hasn't really been shown to be picky about food, and the xenomorph technically isn't made of metal or anything. Assuming the Plumicare does go in for a bit of a nibble, both parties are going to have a really shit time. The second a Plumicare snags a xenomorph, okay, I'm tired of saying that, we're just going to call them aliens. The moment it snags an alien and it starts leaking its acidic juices everywhere, it's just going to melt right through the plant, probably killing it in the process. On the aliens part, something just tried to eat it, so I doubt it's doing great, but given what they've survived, I'd say there's a decent chance it walks away. This event would also mark the Plumicare as a threat to the hive, meaning that if any more hive members come across one, they'll probably attack and kill it. Pivoting back to the Plumicare, the ticks and the ocellus are probably a bit too small for it to try and snag one, although what could happen and would be kind of funny to see is if an ocellus is like using a human as a host and the Plumicare snags that and eats the ocellus in the process. The fly, on the other hand, it's probably just big enough for the plant to see it as an appetizer, albeit a light one, but food is food, and a Plumicare could probably snatch one out of the air if it tried. The slight problem with this idea is that the fly can spit acid strong enough to dissolve metal. Granted, given the size disparity, I don't think it has enough to kill the plant, but probably enough to get it to let it go. I guess in this case, it comes down to if the plant can kill the fly before it starts flinging its fluids everywhere. Jumping ship to the flies, I think they're most likely to come to conflict with the aliens, mainly because they see the androids controlling them as food, and given the aliens' hive nature, they probably aren't going to be appreciating that. Looking at that fight, the flies are going to get torn apart. I don't think their acidic spit would even matter at that point, mainly because of the aliens' acidic blood being probably just as, if not more acidic, and yeah, they're gonna get torn apart really quickly. I'm pretty sure the only thing the fly can do in this case is just fly away. The ocellus and ticks are most likely gonna fall into the neutral pool, as since they aren't made of metal, they're pretty much not food, so why should the fly care? As far as the ticks go, they're probably the least threatening creature on this list. Keep in mind this is all relative, of course, as I wouldn't exactly call something that could suck you dry in a matter of seconds not threatening. That being said, I don't think the tick can do a whole lot to the other beasties present. If one of them latches onto an alien, it'd probably just melt instantly. You know when you eat some hot food and it burns the roof of your mouth? It'd be like that after you double it and give it to the next person a couple dozen times. And it's probably not going to try to eat a plant. I feel like this thing would be a nuisance more than anything, latching onto alien breeding hosts and making them unusable. As well as while I don't think the ocellus itself would be caught, I could see the tick managing to latch on to an ocellus host, which I don't think the ocellus would appreciate since it seems to want to keep its host alive. The tick would essentially be siphoning the gas from the ocellus's car while the ocellus is trying to drive said car. Definitely a creature that all the other guys are just going to want to step on. Saving the best for last, the ocellus. This tricky little bugger already had a bit of a run-in with an alien, where the ocellus promptly ditched its current host and tried to parasitize the alien, which didn't work at all because, well, no eyes. The alien, for its part, reacted exactly how someone would react when something small and slimy is crawling on them. In other words, it freaked the fuck out. Aside from giving an alien the heebie-jeebies, I imagine the ocellus's biggest challenge would be keeping whatever host it finds from not ending up on everyone else's menu. The aliens will most likely see its host as breeding stock for their own purposes, so a bit of a property war going on there, while the Plumicare and ticks will just see it as food. I think the only thing the ocellus doesn't really have to worry about about is the flies, again, due to their rocky diet. I find it kind of funny that the smartest creature present is probably going to have the worst time. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure it'll manage, it's just going to have to big brain its way out of a couple scenarios. And that's kind of the rundown on how I think all the kids will play together. I think the show itself is definitely worth a watch, and I'd like to see if my predictions are right for season 2. But thanks for watching and helping me get past that 10-minute mark. If you're so inclined, like and subscribe, and yeah, peace.